Hello my friends, welcome back to the shop. Today, a treat especial. We are talking about this. The brand new Stoeger Freedom Series defensive shotgun. We got an 18.5-inch barrel, 7+1 capacity. As many of you may know, I am an instructor with Defender Training. We have a shotgun course coming up. We're going to be doing lots of shotgun stuff in the spring. This year, shotguns have become incredibly popular lately, and defensive shotguns have become such a big deal. But there's a lot of gas up guns, there's a lot of stuff that's out there that's pretty expensive. This isn't one of those things. I think that this is a pretty interesting, not necessarily, I wouldn't call it necessarily a budget gun, but this is definitely for the budget conscious. We're going to be doing a full build with this, and we're going to be releasing a lot more content with a complete loadout setup for this. But let's get this thing down on the bench and let's take a look at some of its features, because I think it's pretty sweet. Alright, so now we got this thing down on the bench and we're taking a closer look at it here. So what we can see, the biggest selling point of a shotgun like this is that we've got chrome lined feed ramp, chrome lined feed area. This is going to help us with extracting and loading cases, hulls and shells, and we've got these huge, absolutely massive controls. We got a big giant charging handle, a big giant bolt release. Let me bring you down here and just show you exactly how big this bolt release is, because it's absolutely massive. So if I put, I mean, this is my index finger, you know what I mean? So if I'm grabbing cartridges from the other side and then loading them underneath, all I've got to do is just smack this loading handle and this bolt release, and it's just going to send them right in. What we're using today, we've got a set of snap caps. I wanted to show you these. These things are pretty cool. They're hollow. I found these on Amazon. I'll post a link to them, but they're pretty nice because they've actually got some brass in the back here, and a nice big chunk of plastic down in the top for our firing pin to hit. But these things are pretty nicely made, and they weren't terribly expensive. So if we put that thing in there and then hit that button, that thing's gone and ready to rock and roll, and that thing takes right off. But the cool part is that what we can see is that this charging gate, this charging handle here is just, or I'm sorry, this loading gate here is just. Now it's difficult to get the perspective on this because you're looking at it from the top down, but from the top down you can see that there are these big flats, these big swells here, and if we look at it, if we keep that in mind and look at it on the profile, you can see just how heavily sculpted this whole area is. So and I'm trying to use some heavy contrast here just to show you what I mean, because this area, this is probably the most sculpted, the most sculpted loading magazine tube loading gate that I've seen on anything, even close to the price tag of this thing. I just think that this is probably, most of the time, budget conscious guns are budget friendly options. And like I said, this isn't completely this isn't like a poverty tier. This isn't like a super low budget gun, but this is definitely an affordable price point. I think that this thing is just fantastic. So if we drop this gate, we can see that we can load, and when we go over here, we notice that we've got a nice brightly colored follower. That's pretty cool. But this thing, we can get this thing loaded and get it ready to rock and roll pretty fast. We've got so once we pull the trigger, we can see it's going to drop that next casing down. And then obviously we're not going to be charging this on our own, but when we charge that, it's going to feed that up and into the chamber. Now, what we don't have here, we've got a 7+1 capacity, 18.5-inch barrel. We don't have. Let me see if I can get this in frame here. What we can see here is that we don't have any choke tubes. This is just a standalone, just a barrel. To me, that's okay. I'm all right with that because our target engagement here is going to be at like 50 feet. So if we're engaging something at 50 feet, if we really want to stretch this thing out with some slugs, we can do that. We can swap them out on the fly and not be worried about blowing a choke tube out. To me, that might be a big deal for some people. To me, it's just not a thing. So we're going to be going through and doing a full. I've got a complete. I have got an entire loadout that's made for this, that's ready to rock and roll. I haven't even shot this thing yet, but I've got a total complete loadout that's built and ready to get made for it. But I just wanted to do a quick overview, talk a little bit about it. It's an M2 clone, a Benelli M2 clone, so there's a big carrier that rides along in here and a spring that's wound on the end. And we can get to that in a second, but yeah, I just think that for where this thing sits in the price point, and YouTube's getting a little weird about talking about pricing because they don't want people selling guns on YouTube, but and I'm regardless of how I feel about that, that's just the way it is. But you can find the prices for this, and it, like I said, it's very reasonable. So what we can do is let me take the magazine tube off of this thing. Let me take some of this stuff apart, and I'll show you exactly how this mechanism in here works. So you can see here that what we've done is we've removed the barrel and the front handguard. So now we've got a really good look at what's going on underneath that stuff. What we can see is that we've got sort of a big bolt carrier here and our recoil spring. And what's cool about this, and let me bring it down close, is that what I think is really cool about the system, and like we were saying before, this is borrowed from Benelli, but what we can see here is that we have a rotating locking bolt. So what this is going to do, what's important about this system is that this is slowing down the bolt speed, right? So when we're going to have, so this is giving us some more reliability here, as far as we don't want something that's direct, that's just going to blow back because the bolt could either move too fast or move too slow. So this is going to control our bolt speed and give us a more consistent bolt speed. So that is an overview of the Stoeger M3K. I think this thing is just fantastic for where it sits, for its price point. If you liked the video, guys. It has absolutely been a pleasure. Look out for the complete loadout that I'm doing. 2A content needs every single subscriber and every single like. So drop a, like I said, if you like the video, drop it, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.